Welcome back, everyone, to the Second Take podcast. My name is Casey Berger. I'm joined by my co-host,
Alex. Nice to see everyone.
Nice to see everyone as well. We hope everyone is having a good week so far. And as you know, we are with the GWU Sports Business Association. You can find us on Instagram at GWUSBA, and you can find any sort of links for any of our upcoming events or even interest forms in the podcast or the blog if that interests you at all. So definitely take a look at that if you want to get more involved with the organization. And with that being said, we can jump right in. So pretty standard week, I'd say, in the NFL. Nothing too crazy was going on. Some guys went down. You know, you're losing Aaron Rodgers to injury.
Right.
Now you're losing Drake London, Michael Penix, Josh Jacobs. A lot of guys went down. So I'd say it was a pretty important week in terms of the shifts of the league as well. You see, I think a game we could definitely start with is Broncos-Chiefs.
Yeah, no, for sure.
There might be a new king of the West.
What a humongous win for the Broncos. I didn't really think they had a chance of winning this. I mean, we knew this defense was kind of legit from the get-go, right? They are so strong at every level. But the offense succeeding against a super experienced and well-coached Chiefs defense is just so promising for the Broncos as a team. And now the Chiefs are 5-5. They've lost 4 away games. They're 1-4 away. And you have to wonder if maybe it's the film's out, so many years passed in this Chiefs dynasty, but they do not look like them. They don't look like themselves. And I'm wondering if you think this is a coaching issue, personnel issue. Is Mahomes maybe? I mean, I know we were talking about in this first stretch of the season him playing MVP caliber football.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's at that level anymore. I mean, he had a pretty poor interception in the red zone. That could have been a touchdown that completely changes the dynamic of the game. And that just doesn't feel like a Mahomes play. I don't know what's your take on what's going on here.
So I know there's a lot of circulation online about Andy Reid having a little bit of a part to play in this downfall, but I don't think it's as much of that as more of, I think it's kind of just coming back to bite him. If you recall last year, they went 11-0 in one-score games.
Yeah.
This year they're 0-5.
Right.
They're just not getting it done when they need to, and that's kind of the opposite of what you normally see from Mahomes. I mean, the past couple of years, he's not putting up his best stats of his career, but he is winning ball games. And this year, I'd say, he's back to putting up good numbers, but the wins aren't there. And, at 5-5, it's tough to see. It's not tough to see them making the playoffs, but I've just never seen them struggle like this. And I think a big part of it comes down to their offensive and defensive lines. Those have been 2 very strong suits. They've controlled the line of scrimmage over the past 5 or so years, and they haven't looked as good so far. And, it all kind of comes down to that. When you're not generating pass rush, you're giving teams opportunities to get back in the game. And I don't want to say they're finished yet. And regarding Mahomes, it's kind of strange to see him having somewhat regressed since Rashee Rice got back. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe he's not distributing the ball as much. Maybe, he's kind of having that first read error where he's always looking for Rice. And then, he has to shift his view, pockets collapsing. But, Mahomes is an experienced player. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll make the playoffs. Do I think that they're top 3 to come out of the AFC in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so. But at the end of the day, this is a Patrick Mahomes-led team that has experience that no other team in the entire league has. But right now it's kind of tough to put them against teams like the Broncos, as we just saw, who have, I think, the best defense in the league. I mean, they are so impressive.
Yeah.
The Patriots, I hate to say it. The Bills just beat them as well. I think you can throw the Colts in there too. I still think that they're a very good team. It's just interesting to see what they do going forward, because change needs to happen. I mean, there's been hype around them this season. They've been high in the power rankings every week. And yet here they are at 5-5, I think now people are starting to finally come back down to earth about the expectations of this team, because, Mahomes hasn't been as explosive, and it just kind of seems like their run of owning the AFC might be done.
Yeah, I mean, what an exciting development that would be to finally get to see one of these other teams kind of come out. The issue for me here is, I think if the Chiefs make the playoffs, then they're probably making their way to the AFC Championship. I'd probably pick them all the way.
Probably.
Just off, the difference between regular season football and playoff football. But now the issue is, do they even make it? Right now they're at 9th in the standings. They're not going to win this division. They're kind of competing with the Chargers and the Jaguars for that kind of spot. For reference, Jags and Chargers have 6 and 7 wins. And the Chiefs are actually tied with the Texans with 5 wins right now. But you also have the Baltimore Ravens
lurking right there,
who are 5-1. They're going to get back into a regular record. Could end up finishing around that maybe 10-7 area. They'll definitely get in the playoffs if they keep playing like this, like what we know the Ravens are. So all that's to say, if the Chiefs get in the playoffs, they're the Chiefs. They'll be fine. But are they even going to make the playoffs? I mean, yeah, what we talked about with all this negative regression back to mean, all those one-score games they won last year. It's just they're not getting it done this year. And yeah, I worry about the Chiefs. And another team I worry about, kind of going back to what we were talking about with injuries. It was a big week for injuries. Possibly no team was injured more than the Atlanta Falcons. Man. Physical injuries to Michael Penix, who's probably done for the year. Drake London, who's going to be out for the foreseeable future. And then I would say some figurative injury to the franchise's aspirations, because they are now on a terrible losing streak. I think it might be like 7 games. They've firmly fallen out of the NFC playoff picture. And any hope they had of any hope they had of reclaiming this division was surely squandered when the Panthers beat them in overtime. And this is the kind of game I want to go back to, because I actually have the Panthers as a sneaky 7 seed in this playoffs. Because Bryce Young just threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff for Bryce Young. Great to see kind of breakout from Ted McMillan. I saw a really fascinating stat. He had 8 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. And apparently 4 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown, both inside the numbers and outside the numbers. It was perfectly symmetrical, which is just kind of, it's showing that Dave Canales will use him anywhere now. And the guy is incredibly talented. So that's kind of the key to unlocking the passing game, so they're not just pounding the rock with Rico Dowdle all day.
Yeah.
But I think this team's kind of scary, and I like some defensive pieces. Tell me how you're feeling either about the Panthers or about, this Falcons' terrible downfall.
I can talk about both. I know 5 weeks ago, I think it was, I said that the Falcons were going to make the playoffs and potentially make a run for the division. I just want to apologize. That was, I think, the worst take I've ever had, because they have not won a football game since I have said that. And I think a lot of it comes down to coaching. It's not like they haven't been competitive in these games. They've been right there. They've had, I think, 2 or 3 of these they should have won. And Drake London's playing the best football of his life. Bijan is, I would say, the top running back in the entire NFL outside of Jonathan Taylor. And Michael Penix is I don't think he has anything special. He's not very mobile. He looks a little bit just awkward in the pocket. Right. And he doesn't make awful decisions. He doesn't throw too many interceptions, but he just doesn't have that it factor to get them over the hump. And especially now with him going down, Drake London already out for this week, and going forward, the defense just letting up big plays whenever they don't need to. And I would argue a bottom 3 coach in the league. Not having a first-round pick this year, just a little cherry on top. I mean, they are, I would say, in the worst situation in the entire NFL right now. They have no assets. They have guys like Bijan and Drake London, or assets in terms of draft capital, I meant.
Right.
Bijan, Drake London, they're approaching contract years. And unless this team can retool in the next 2 seasons, there's going to be a massive rebuild in Atlanta. Some stars are going to be hitting the market, because this season has been such a disaster. And now looking over at the Panthers at 6-5, they, I believe, are in the playoff picture right now.
Yeah, no, totally.
And that's exciting. I'm happy to see that. They're not in the playoff picture. They are a game out behind the Niners, but I think this team can make a run. Bryce Young, I would say this, if this game doesn't, kind of get him in the rhythm that he needs to be in going forward, then I don't really know what does. But it's the best performance of his career. Ted McMillan has been unleashed, and he's had the talent the whole year. Xavier Legette even looked pretty good.
Absolutely.
And, Rico Dowdle in the passing game. Tommy Tremble got that 154-yard catch. I think they're starting.
Shout out Tommy Tremble, man.
They're starting to, the offense is starting to gel together. You're seeing a lot of different play calls, a lot of different packages. And I think going forward, that's something that they should be continuing to do. They've let Bryce Young unleash a little bit in this past week, and, you see what happens, right? So playoffs might be tough. It's a tough conference, and it's really competitive. I mean, the Lions aren't even in the playoff picture right now. And it's tough to see one of the wildcard teams like Seattle or Green Bay hopping out of that. Do I think the Niners make it? Probably not, but who knows? It's, I would say the most competitive playoff run we've seen in both conferences in years. You're seeing a big changing of the guard in terms of what teams are kind of running the league outside of, the Eagles, which not stoked about, but, that's what it is. And I don't know. It's just really exciting stuff looking forward. But I did want to introduce a new segment. We are going to do agenda versus propaganda. And what we mean by that is kind of some of the storylines that are floating around the league. Some quarterbacks are getting hype, whether that may be good or bad. Players around the league in that same boat. And we're going to see if it's warranted or not. And starting off, we're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy, because he is by far the most circulating name online that I've seen. And I'm just curious what your take is on him.
Yeah, so I would say the general take around J.J. McCarthy is garbage. And he's complete garbage. And I would call that agenda. I don't think it's propaganda at all. I mean, you have to understand it with the caveat that obviously he's a rookie quarterback. In the sense that he didn't play at all last year. He's only 5 games really into his NFL career. So you wouldn't expect a rookie to be like the best quarterback ever 5 games into his career. But it's what you see from him that is just really, really disappointing because Kevin O'Connell's system has always been really productive for quarterbacks. I mean, I know Sam Darnold's doing amazing, but I don't think anybody would agree that Sam Darnold was the major reason they were 14-3 last year. Point being that the system is super good, not only because they have such a strong defense, but because you get guys like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, a really great wide receiver too. TJ Hawkinson hasn't had a great year, but still really talented guys and pretty strong offensive line as well. And JJ McCarthy has just not performed. He's inaccurate. He kind of looks like a little kid when you see him on the field. He looks like he puts his all into a throw and he'll just sail it over people's heads. He's wildly inaccurate. The one prop I'll give him is he's kind of clutch. A little bit.
Is.
At the expense of being garbage for 90% of the game. In the Bears game, this is more so an indictment on the Bears, who I think are the most fraudulent 7-3 I think I've ever seen in my life. J.J. McCarthy was super clutch on that last drive. He was making good completions. Great ball to Addison on the touchdown. And that was a go-ahead touchdown. And then there was the drive. He didn't throw a touchdown pass on it, but he engineered it for a Jordan Mason touchdown that was 15 yards out. He engineered that whole drive. And it's like, you need him to do that the whole game. You can't play every game from behind. I know the Vikings were another team last year that really thrived off those one-score wins. But you got to get ahead. You want to see more poise from J.J. McCarthy, especially a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who wasn't like this touted, athletic, raw prospect out of college. He was drafted because he was so good at Michigan and leading the team. He was this is a guy that's going to step into a system and thrive. And you're kind of seeing the opposite here. He looks raw, which is just not what you want to see. Any discourse about Justin Jefferson not being who he is, I think is complete propaganda and garbage. He's kind of being held prisoner, but they will figure it out. But as of right now, J.J. McCarthy is bottom 5 quarterback in the league. I don't think that's deniable.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I just don't. There's no qualities that I watch him and I'm like, wow, this guy could be something. Cam Ward is having one of the worst rookie seasons I've seen in a long time, but I'm not out on him yet. You see him do things that's like, wow, that there's talent here that could turn into something great with the right pieces and the right system around him. J.J. McCarthy has both of those. He has one of the best receiving cores in the entire league. I mean, he has made T.J. Hawkinson look like, a backup tight end, but the few years before this, he's been great on the Vikings. Justin Jefferson has been consistently delivering 1,500 yards. He's going to scrape by 1,000 this year, or 1,100 maybe, but you're just, seeing a lot of just downplay from where they've been in previous years. And they took, not a raw Sam Darnold product, but they made him, into what he is now. I think a top 10 quarterback. And, they did that with Kirk Cousins. He goes to the Falcons. He doesn't look very good at all. And you see J.J. McCarthy come in here and deliver some of the worst performances you've seen. 9 interceptions. He's constantly missing reads. He's constantly overthrowing. It's kind of a mess to watch. And I do feel bad for Justin Jefferson. But I think that being said, you can't put him in the top 3 right now, maybe the top 4. JSN is over him, and that is, I think not undebatable at this point. Jamar Chase is better than him. Puka Nacua is better than him. Am I crazy to say that Drake London is better than him? I don't know how crazy that is given the stretch he's been on.
For this season, absolutely. I mean, if you kind of close your perspective to just one season, then you can absolutely do stuff like that. I wouldn't take Drake London over Justin Jefferson in a broader scope.
I think I might.
Really?
I'm all in on Drake London. I know he just went down with injury, but in 5 of his past 6 weeks, he's put up 100 yards. He has been doubled so often as they don't really have that secondary receiver threat right now with Darnell Mooney being a non-factor. And he has still been producing like no one else in the entire league. I mean, he has just blossomed in front of our eyes, and I don't think Penix is a very good quarterback either, and he's the only reason Michael Penix still has a job, if you're asking me, honestly. Yeah. And I know that's a bit much, but I have a thing where when I really like a player, aka when I have them in fantasy and they win me multiple weeks in a row, I'm going to start talking a little bit crazy about them. No. And I will stand on that. You could bring 10 more people on here, explain why Drake London is not better, and I will prove them wrong. Because Drake London, I think, is approaching top 3, but he's not there yet.
I love that take, and stay tuned, potential podcast fans, for some potential debates we might host. Some Skip Bayless Jubilee, something of that sort, which would be pretty fun to debate whether or not Drake London is a top 3 receiver.
Well, he's hurt now, so
Yeah, he might fall out of favor there. I still have him in my top 10. He's probably crept up on my top 7 I'm thinking about like overall. But this season he's been a top 5 receiver without a doubt. He's been like the lifeblood aside from Bijan Robinson actually. But he's been the life of the receiving game for the Falcons, and he deserves better from this team and from this coaching staff. And I think, like you said, there could be a lot of change this offseason.
Yeah.
But in the vein, we talked about McCarthy, we talked about Penix. Let's talk about one more rookie quarterback who made his long-awaited debut. It's bust down my AP perfect timing, Shedeur Sanders, who Stefanski had no choice but to deny it. He could not deny it any longer.
Time finally came.
Dylan Gabriel got hurt, and Shedeur came in. And I'll let you go ahead and take this here. The initial hype around Shedeur is that he's garbage. I know we might be repeating takes for 2 rookie quarterbacks here, but, it's a small sample size. Is this agenda or propaganda?
I did see something that said that even during practice, he had never taken reps with the first team offense. That being said, he had a 25% completion percentage. And this is a team that does not have anyone running 10 yards more than downfield. And he had a pick. He took 2 bad sacks that lost him 27 yards. I would say it's tough to say he's garbage, after one start against a defense that's been playing pretty well. But I kind of think he's garbage. I didn't see him do much. I went back and watched the highlights. He looked bad. And I know, it's his first start. It's the Ravens defense. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like, yes, Stefanski may have been treating him unfairly this season. But I think the thing is, maybe that's because he's just not that good. Like, if he hasn't been performing, you have that also off the field issue of, like, he doesn't really seem to care that much about the team's success. He cares about his own success. When they announced Dylan Gabriel, the starting QB, after they benched Flacco, he mimed a whole interview. Like, I don't think there's a cause and correlation, right? He was supposed to be a top 5 pick coming out of college. He doesn't go to the 4th round. I wonder why. There's a character issue here that I think is undeniable. And there's a lot of people out there who will stand behind him. But, I mean, it's true. Like, it's not like every team just collectively was like, no, like, let's blackball him from the league.
Yeah.
Teams don't really do that. Like when Laramie Tunsil had his whole incident back in the draft, he still was a first-round pick, and there's so many teams that need a QB that could have taken that flyer on him, and they chose not to. And now you're seeing that transition onto the field where he finally gets his shot, and he doesn't perform. You need to back up that talk, and if you don't, then there's going to be some aggressive takes made about you out there on the internet, in person, on shows. I mean, yes, he has a big spotlight around him. Yeah. He has this whole crew that essentially follows him everywhere he goes because everything he does gets a headline. But I'm out. I mean, there's a reason he wasn't starting before, and I think there's a reason we're seeing why he was the 3rd string into the season.
Yeah, I think you broke it down kind of perfectly. I feel very strongly about this because I don't feel like he should have gone in the 5th round. I thought that was – I really couldn't put it together. But to me, it felt as if maybe the teams that were supposed to take him didn't, and then that kind of serves as like, oh, well, they didn't take him. There must be something wrong with him, and he kind of slipped. But you're right. When you're a guy like Shedeur Sanders, who doesn't ever do himself any favors with the outfits and the mimes, he is a loud personality. And to me, I thought that would be attractive for some franchises, like maybe like the like the Raiders, right, who kind of needed, I know they have Geno now, but, they kind of needed an identity, right? Had they not drafted Ashton Genty, but you could kind of use a guy like that to define your franchise. And I feel like the Browns are at a point where they could have used a guy like Shedeur. And they took him, albeit in the 5th round. And to me, it's like, there might be questions about Shedeur as a player, but like, I don't think they set this guy up for success whatsoever. They waited till the 5th round to take him, where at that point it just kind of felt like, okay, we really can't pass him up any longer. He was too good in college to do that. Don't really, give him any respect or reps. Has he earned it? Questionable. He had a 2 QBR in his 1 start. Terrible look. But like you said, no reps with the starters. You can't, no matter what happens in the league, if you draft like what the Browns did, would just have a rotating door at quarterback, you can't have a guy who hasn't had any reps with the first team and then have him in a position to roll out, especially when he's the backup to Dylan Gabriel. I just, what are the Browns doing? I think Stefanski has to go after this season.
I do too.
He's long overstayed his welcome. This whole Shedeur thing, I still think he could be a quality NFL quarterback. I'm not going to judge him off 1 quarter against the Baltimore Ravens in his first start, but just I think it's propaganda. I'm not out on Shedeur yet, and that might just be I loved what I saw in college, but but I think he'd be better off, maybe somewhere like I kind of want him to get maybe drafted to, the Rams, right? Maybe sit behind Stafford. I know he wouldn't enjoy it, but sit behind Stafford. Their play styles aren't that dissimilar, and he'd grow to be more mature. Instead, he's just kind of stuck in the situation. He's not really playing, he's not practicing, and then when he does, it's terrible. Yeah. And I just this cannot get worse for the Browns. They don't want to start him. They don't want to play anybody. I think this team's more garbage than Shedeur. I'm not out on him yet. That's a long way of saying I think it's propaganda.
Yeah, no. I don't totally disagree, but I like to have a little bit of an opinion on this one too because I'm not a big fan of him. But transitioning in. Is Tyrese Maxey top 10?
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, you definitely think so. I won't, sit here and say he's not because he's averaging 32 points a game. And I can't really disagree. But I want to hear your breakdown on him. I don't watch many Sixers games. I'm mainly focused on my Knicks, so I'm just curious if you want to break down a little bit of what you've seen from him that would give him that top 10 attribute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing you got to look at, exactly like you said, Casey, is top 5 in scoring on the league, and we're far into the season, right? Mm-hmm. And what we've kind of seen is, we know Joel Embiid always takes back seats, but now it's to the point where it's like Joel Embiid plays pretty regularly. They hold him out of every doubleheader he plays, one of the 2 back-to-backs, and sits out the other. So we've gotten a great chance to look at Maxey as a first option, and yes, he's not an efficient player. He's the kind of guy that does air raid, just puts up a lot of shots a game. But my God, he is such an incredible shot maker. Yeah. And it went from when he first got in the league, it's like this guy's such an incredible, he attacks the rim so well. No one is really faster other than guys like maybe De'Aaron Fox with the ball in their hands than Tyrese Maxey. But the elevation, we always knew he was a great shooter, but now he's really, really just shooting the lights out. He can shoot from anywhere. He's taking middies now. He can shoot from 30 feet out. I've never seen him miss an open 3. The guy's just such an incredibly hard worker, and you could really see in the way he plays basketball is he just plays such a clean form of basketball. He takes, for the most part, he takes pretty high quality shots, or at least he takes shots he knows he's going to make. And I really think he's elevated himself above some other guys that I think he was kind of contesting with in the similar guard category. Like maybe LaMelo Ball, I'm taking Maxey over right now. Ja Morant, I'm taking Maxey over, though. Don't get me started on Ja Morant. I hate Ja Morant.
Yeah, Jesus. It's such a mess.
Other guys, like, I think that by the time this season's over, I don't think him over Brunson is going to be that insane of a take. I wouldn't do it right now. But
let's slow down. Slow down.
Just what an incredible player. And Tyrese Maxey, top 5 in points per game, top 5 in 3-pointers made per game. He's kind of the lifeblood of the Sixers team that really probably shouldn't have the record they have right now. But yeah, I think Maxey's a top 10 player.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't disagree. I'm honestly a big fan of Maxey, even though I despise the Sixers. I think he's a great basketball player, and he's a joy to watch. And, with VJ Edgecombe kind of starting to slow down a little bit, you're seeing those rookie, growing pains a little bit. That's normal. I still think he's going to be pretty good as well, but I think he's out of that first spot in Rookie of the Year, and I think that Con Kneppel is the Rookie of the Year on the Charlotte Hornets. He has looked very, very good in his, brief start to his NBA career. I mean, he looks polished. He looks like a veteran. He's not making, a lot of those rookie mistakes, and he's shooting the ball at such an impressive clip. I mean, he has been lighting it up, and he's been, keeping a Charlotte Hornets team that, albeit is still not great, kind of relevant. And, that's exciting for a team that usually is near the bottom of the East, which, they're 4-10. LaMelo has taken, I'd say, a little bit of a step back this year compared to recent years. But I don't know. I think Con Kneppel is going to be something special. And I think that he can be, the second option or probably the first option, because I'm assuming LaMelo will request a trade pretty soon. I think he's had about his fun in a small market team. He's going to want out and, go somewhere big sometime soon. I think Con Kneppel takes over, and I think he could be a 25-plus point scorer. I mean, he can score at all 3 levels. He's a very crisp jumper. He's averaging nearly 18 already. Right. And that number just keeps going up as his role expands. I have him as my Rookie of the Year right now, and I don't see that changing.
Yeah, I would actually agree with you. I think the race will transform because we have, I think, 3 pretty clear front runners between him, VJ, and Cooper Flagg. I wouldn't say I was iffy about him as the number 4 pick, but it was, to me, it was like with Con, you knew what you were getting. Yeah. You were getting the kind of glue guy of the Duke team, just incredible shooter, doesn't really make mistakes. And I thought that would be super helpful for the Hornets, where it's like you have a lot of young, impressive guys. You just want a guy you could trust. But they've gotten everything that they've wanted and more. With that 18 points per game, that's a huge jump from what I expected he would kind of contribute on an NBA basketball team.
Like I thought that would be like his like career high in points per game.
Seriously.
Like I thought he'd be like a great sixth man for some team.
Exactly.
That was about it. But I am blown away.
No, and he's already there, shooting 30 or 40% from three. That's fantastic. 88% from the free throw line. That goes unsung, just having a guy who will drain every free throw. It's such a breath of fresh air for the Hornets, which are like such an exciting team, but they're just inconsistent. They're not mature. And I think it's kind of good to start thinking about the future of this team because they've got so many young pieces. Is LaMelo the piece you really want to build around? I don't see him as a championship quality superstar. I see him as a superstar, but not a guy that's going to lead your franchise to anything. He's just too inconsistent, too injured. And I think if the Hornets choose to take this team in a different direction, it's going to be by merit of Concanupple.
Yeah. And I think that'd be exciting. I don't know. It would be fun to see him be a first option on a team, especially as he continues throughout his career. And then another team I would like to highlight is Los Angeles Lakers, sitting at 10-4. I think they are third in the West behind the Nuggets and Thunder. And, LeBron hasn't been there. That's not a secret. There's a lot of discourse about that right now. Are the Lakers better without LeBron James? Is that an agenda or is that propaganda? Because this team has been a well-hummed machine so far. They've looked very on the same page. They've looked very fluid, and Luka's playing, I think, at MVP level right now. I have him first in the MVP race, maybe behind Giannis, but Giannis is now out for a week. Wemby's out for a few weeks. I think this is now Luka's award to lose. Or they're 10-4, excuse me. They're also behind the Rockets, but I'm curious what your take is on this team, and if you think that LeBron coming back might ruin a little bit of this chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously worries about LeBron apparently sounds like he's making his debut tonight. So there's obviously worries about the chemistry of the team when you insert a guy like LeBron just into your roster. That changes everything. I would say the Lakers being worse with LeBron with LeBron as opposed to without. I would say that's propaganda. I think LeBron is at the point in his career where he's going to take his shots, but he understands what it's like to be. I know he spent most of his career as a first option, but I think he understands when you add a player like Luka Doncic that at 41 years old you probably need to take a back seat, and maybe that's taking some offensive pressure off Austin Reeves, who's averaging 28 points per game.
Yeah,
that's not sustainable whatsoever. But no, I think LeBron's actually going to be a great add to this team. Take some minutes away from Jake LaRavia, who hasn't been that incredible, but Rui Hachimura has definitely taken a step forward.
Yeah,
you kind of slot LeBron into that lineup. You open up some more shots for Hachimura. I think they're better with him, and I also just like I like what LeBron brings on the boards too. He's a fantastic rebounder, great passer, and you add it. Luka's leader in points, rebounds, and assists per game for the Lakers. So you take some of that pressure off him too. Just let him keep scoring. And you're right. This is kind of right now. This is Luka's MVP to lose. He's playing crazy.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I do think that it's propaganda as well. I think LeBron comes back, and I think he takes a little step back in the scoring department. I think he would also appreciate that, considering he is up there in age now. He probably doesn't want to bang up the body too much. Retirement's on the way. It probably hurts a lot more than it used to. Those hips are hurting when he wakes up. The back creaks when he reaches down for something. So I don't see Luka's scoring production dipping. I do think, you're taking away from those Jake LaRavia minutes. You're going to see Austin Reeves probably dip down to the lower 20s, and I think it'll work out well. I think Luka should still be the primary ball handler. I think he's ran that offense beautifully this entire season. And, I think LeBron as a secondary playmaker isn't exactly a bad thing, but, he's not taking the ball off the court anymore. And I think he'll be okay with that if it means he can make one last run at a championship.
Yeah.
And in terms of their center, DeAndre Ayton, I want to talk about him because he has impressed me very much this year. I know that on his past couple years with the Suns and then his stint with the Blazers, people were kind of out on him. They kind of just looked at him as like a Yusef Nurkic type,
right.
Jacob Poeltl, like one of those centers who it's like, you sign him for agency, it's like whatever. But the Lakers have been, looking for that center for so long, ever since Anthony Davis just like refused to play center, and he's filled in nicely. He's looked good on defense. I feel like he's been back at kind of that level he was at the start of his career. He's not all defense, but he's looked good. He's rolling off these Luka screens well. Luka is getting him a lot of points, but that's what he does. And I think that it's a breath of fresh air for a franchise that has complained and complained for so long about not having a big man. And I do see them ending the season as a top 3 or 2 seed in the West.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Probably top 3. I think that Nuggets and Thunder are kind of on another level right now.
Yeah, no, top 3 is, I think, a great projection for them. At the very least, top 5. They'll only get better. And I thought DeAndre Ayton was going to be trash. I'm not going to lie. So I definitely missed on that take pre-NBA. But I still think they could swoop into Dallas, go back for another trade, go back for seconds, and rescue one of Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively, I think, for relatively cheap. I still think they should, in honor of building the chemistry. We know how strong this team is. It's just about building chemistry. I would go get Luka, one of his old big men, preferably Daniel Gafford.
Yes, outstanding.
You could probably get him for some draft capital and trade Dalton Connect because he's not playing.
I know.
The organization disrespected him by, obviously they didn't choose for Mark Williams' physical to fail, but it still kind of sucks for them. I would just go get one of those guys, really shore up that roster. But like the Lakers are scary. And I think everyone was kind of saying like the Lakers last year, they're not bad. They're just early, right? You can't insert a guy like Luka Doncic in your offense. Those are the kinds of guys that organizations prepare to build around.
Yes.
And they just got him suddenly, out of the blue. The players didn't even know. So we just need to give some time.
I love the way you said that. I haven't really looked at it like that before, but that's very true.
Yeah. No, it's at least how I see it. It's kind of important for.
It's outstanding take.
Thank you, man. It wouldn't really be noticed if the Mavericks hadn't made such a horrendous trade.
Yeah.
And Nico Harrison is now gone.
Rest in peace, Nico Harrison.
Yeah.
That is so well deserved.
But I would love to bring it back to maybe one more agenda or propaganda to take to talk about. And speaking of guys that organizations kind of just build around, let's talk about Nikola Jokic. And just I've never been that much of a Jokic lover. Like I always thought. I mean, I thought he was amazing. But I feel like I'm at the point where you look at his efficiency, you look at his scoring, his rebounding, his passing. I would add in the effort he seems to project in the way he plays basketball.
It's been more recently.
And I want to ask you, I know I wouldn't say there's been a lot of Jokic propaganda, but I feel like the narrative is starting to build that Jokic is the best player in the world and it's not close. Is this agenda or propaganda?
It's really tough to argue right now. I mean, they have now, before the Bulls game last night, they had won, 7 in a row. And even last night as well, he's been the leading scorer. He's had 30-plus in 6 of those 8 games. He had, that game with 55. He's consistently getting double-digit assists. He's averaging, I don't know exactly. Let me see what exactly.
He's averaging 29, 13 rebounds, 11 assists.
I mean, how can you argue anyone else is better than him? I know I did tell you before I was going to argue that Giannis is better. I can't do it. I mean, this is just one of the greatest primes from a basketball player that, at least during my life, I haven't seen from anyone besides LeBron James or Steph Curry. And the fact that he is right there with them, I know he only has that one championship, but I mean, he's still got 3-4 more years of playing basketball at this level. And, say he gets 1 or 2 more rings, he's easily top 10 all time. He's now won 3 MVPs. I mean, he's probably right there with Luka, if not above him now that, we're talking about it. He's averaging 2 steals a game on top of all this. He is just so incredible. I mean, he just does everything so effortlessly. Everything he does is... Actually, it's not even smooth. It's all like clanky. It looks like awkward basketball, but he just has that touch. And when you have that touch with the basketball, I mean, you can do anything. Like he's hitting random hook shots. He's passing like in between guys like arms. He's passing like over their heads. Like just what he can do with a basketball in his hand is something I've never seen. And then you look at his stats and, he's, top 8 in points per game. He's, I think, leading the league in assists. He is second in rebounds, probably top 10 in steals.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you could argue anyone else is better than him in the world right now. Giannis is close. He's upped his assist percentage to 7 a game. He's averaging 32 and playing some of the best defense in the league. But I don't know. Jokic's ability to just orchestrate an entire offense no matter who is on the floor is the most impressive thing I have honestly seen from a basketball player besides, like LeBron's prime and Steph Curry's generational shooting. I could go on about it for days. It is just beautiful, and it is just so good for the sport of basketball, having a guy like him. It's just, I don't know. I'm such a Jokic fanboy. I've always been really big on him. And it's just incredible to watch. And I honestly think that right now they are better than the Thunder. I mean, they took them to 7 last year. No Aaron Gordon in Game 7. And Aaron Gordon now has taken a step up, like we talked about, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. Jamal Murray has actually been playing at that same level that he's always been at.
Right.
Cam Johnson has even warmed up into the offense. The Nuggets are a threat, and Jokic is the best player in basketball.
No, and I would say they're my NBA Finals favorite right now. Kind of touching on what you said with the stats. I mean, we see what he does on the court, but looking at some advanced stats for this year, his per 40s, 33, almost 34 points per game, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. That's unbelievable.
That's unreal.
Something that's crazy to me. It's way higher than anything he's had any time before. True shooting percentage of 77%.
That is ridiculous.
You think that deserves a sound effect?
I think that deserves a sound effect.
Deserves a sound effect.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like
beautiful. Beautiful stuff from Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on about that for days. He's shooting nearly 40% from three on top of all this. There's nothing you can do, and he is the best player in basketball.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. There are guys I want to think about over him. It's just not possible.
It's not possible.
He's just so good.
Yeah.
Every other player, there's a caveat. They're amazing, but there are no caveats.
There's no
Jokic.
but.
If you tried your hardest, you could maybe say he doesn't look like he loves basketball like that. Like maybe the NBA is his 9 to 5.
And you can talk about his defense, but like he's not a bad defender.
No, he's not. And when you matter that much to your team, the defense is irrelevant. When you take that much offensive pressure off your teammates, leave it up to them to play defense and just let Jokic anchor the paint. He's huge. You're not going to run into him.
He stands at the free throw line. He'll either back you down and put it in for like the easiest layup that he, probably ever, or he's going to hit some crazy pass. Someone's either going to be wide open for three, or someone's going to be driving to the basket. I mean, he can throw lobs as good as Luka Doncic, and he's 7 feet tall. I don't know. It's incredible. And I think with that, we will wrap up our episode for today. We hope everyone enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed our new soundboard, a couple new segments. We're going to keep those rolling as we move forward. And once again, you can find anything GWU SBA related on our Instagram, which is the aforementioned GWU SBA. And I think with that, we can sign off. Thank you once again, everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Peace out, everybody. We will be off next week as GW is on Thanksgiving break, but please look forward to podcast episodes the week after that. Everyone have an amazing Thanksgiving, and thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See ya.